Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Board Game Mechanics. I'm Katie, and with me, as always, is...
Hey, guys, what's going on? It is Jason.
Well, it is almost summer. By the time you're hearing this, if you're listening in real time, I mean, I guess it's not real time, but as the episodes air, we are heading into Memorial Day weekend. So that's sort of the unofficial start of summer. And it has been kind of like nasty hot for a few days here in Ohio.
Yeah, it's weird because it was just like winter like last week.
Right.
So, yeah, it's weird.
We're used to it here, but it's been hot and pools are opening and our kids get out of school this week. So,
yay.
Yeah, recording over the summer should be an adventure.
I mean, we'll just go back to doing it at nighttime like normal.
Yeah, we've been doing it during the day. We've been doing a lot of things during the day while we're both working at home and our kids are at school that we will have to change. Like no going out to lunch at places that our kids hate and running around doing errands. And I just sit and bask in the silence actually a lot of the time during the day.
I mean, to be fair, we could still go to places our kids hate, but we don't because we're not terrible human beings. And
they'll just complain the whole time. So it's like a punishment to us. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if anyone has any summer plans, but we are kicking off our summer with a little board gaming weekend. So that should be fun. I'm sure you'll hear about a lot of the games played next week, but today's episode is kind of gearing up for summer in general. So I don't know. I don't have any more banter. I was trying to think if there are any other.
Let me think. Let me ponder. Let me go back into my Rolodex of zany banter.
Oh my gosh, you have none. The other thing I was thinking about was when I started, I feel like I use like my announcer voice sometimes at the top of the episode, and then I slowly slip into my regular voice as we go on. And it made me think about how much I have been pondering what like a career in voiceover and announcing. And part of that is that I think too much of myself, number one. But number two, the other part is watching too many like A&E WWE legends biographies where I listen to the announcers and think, man, wouldn't that be a really cool job? Like, I think I could do that. I think I could do voiceover. Or like color commentary. Like we've been watching a lot of baseball games, and I just think it would be fun just to like chat about sports. I mean, maybe that's everyone's like dream job. I don't know. Just mine.
It's not my dream job. So no, I don't want to do that.
Why not? Don't you think it would be fun to just like
to talk for 3 hours?
Yeah.
No, nothing sounds fun about that.
And to be fair, that's kind of what I do for a living. When I teach, I am talking for like sometimes 3 hours. Usually it's closer to like 2 hours, but
yeah, after about an hour of recording the podcast, I'm good. I'm done.
I mean, yeah. I guess that says a lot about my personality that I would just talk for hours on it. All right. Well, speaking of talking for hours, let's get this hour talk started, and I will start talking about news. That was a pretty good segue. Yeah.
That was a good segue. Yeah, don't keep doing that. Then people will expect it. It just becomes an ordeal.
I actually have to think things out and plan ahead, and then everything becomes produced, and it's like, we're getting paid or something, and no.
It's like we're in the Tantrum House or Man vs. Meeple or something.
Stop. In the background, you can probably hear a cat playing with one of our kids' toys, so that like brings the factor down pretty good.
Yeah.
I hope she doesn't ruin it, because our youngest will be real ticked. She's playing with that fuzzy pink thing.
Oh, yeah. It'll be fine. It should be fine.
She's beating it around. All right. So for news, the first game I want to talk about is a little different. And I want to talk about it just because of its uniqueness. I don't know that, it's not something I would play, but yet it's still a really good idea. Like, it's a good idea. And this, especially talking about our kids, being home from school. It is called Seek Out, a nature adventure game. And what this game is it's a series of cards, basically. And they have different kind of objectives. It's like a scavenger hunt where you have one person who, I forget what they're called. They're the holder, I'm doing a makeup job right away with this.
We'll just call them the Nature Boy.
Stop. The keeper.
I was tying that in to your up top thing.
The keeper of the cards. Bowie does not tie into. Well, and actually, he's not the one.
Ric Flair is the Nature Boy. Come on.
Oh, that one. Okay. Woo! Okay, so the keeper of the cards is the actual name. So they hold on to these cards and other people are seekers. And so each of the cards has different things to seek. Like seek out something older than you. So they can be really kind of vague, or something stronger than you. Or they can get more specific, like seek out a bird song, seek out water on a plant, seek out a feather. And so it's just cards that, tell you, and they've also got, really interesting like ways to get a little bit deeper. So like one may say, seek out a water puddle. And then it says, dig in, look around and try to figure out where the water came from and how it got to the puddle. And then there's even another thing that says, dig deeper. Puddles are often full of plant animal life. Can you find at least one plant and one animal in the puddle? So you can do all different levels with this, but the idea is that it gets kids specifically, but I mean, this is something that we could do with our kids to get them out in nature instead of sitting in front of a screen, going out and looking for things, and even thinking about nature in different ways, like seek out something stronger than you, seek out evidence of water. So it's kind of pushing the boundaries of what they know and understand about nature, and then also gives them, kind of a game to do. We like to go out for walks with our kids. And, I try to point out things like, oh, look at that. Or sometimes we'll see, we saw a snapping turtle once. We saw a deer once. We look at different plants. I talked to them about irises. My youngest, that's her middle name. So we looked at all the yards that we could find that had irises growing in them right now. So this is kind of another way to encourage that with your kids, or even them go out themselves. I mean, it's as long as they can read. But there's also pictures that they could kind of, if you have a pre-reader, the pictures can kind of help, point towards what they're looking for, because they are fairly, like the pictures do suit what the item is on the card. Even something on vacation, if you're exploring a new place, like this seems like a really neat way to kind of get kids involved. So that's Seek Out, a nature adventure card game. There are 5 days left in the Kickstarter, if that's something that interests you, and it's just $20. So, I mean, this is something that you could make up on your own, but for only $20, you get this nice little pouch they come in. You got these nice laminate cards that go into, some fun facts and some different ways to look at things. Like, it just seemed like a cool, different thing, especially thinking about now that our kids are getting out of school.
Yeah, I actually think this is a cool idea. Yeah, it's just basically a scavenger hunt, but it gives you some. The cards don't look bad. I'm looking at the pictures right now. It looks pretty good, and for $20, it's not a bad idea or deal really.
Right. It also makes me think of like homeschools. we know a lot of people who homeschool, a lot of homeschoolers. I got so much to say about homeschool, so I'm not. If you homeschool, more power to you, man, because I couldn't do it. But you can even, there's some added ideas and even the more in-depth prompts on there to, if you're working on, physical science, to talk about, okay, well, what is different about maybe the water in this season versus another season, or, how did these things possibly come to be? Or, there's all kinds of journal prompts and things, and, making even experiments based off some of the things you find here, or doing research papers. Cause I'm thinking like an English person, you can combine the science and writing here. Like if you want to go for the more formal education, as opposed to just doing something kind of for fun to keep their minds going. But I thought that was kind of neat. Seek Out.
Yeah, I think it's really cool.
The next one is the opposite. I don't want to say the opposite, but it's a game that has been out for a long time. And actually, I have never played it, probably because
it's co-op.
It's co-op, and it's like a attacking game. It's like solely. So that makes sense. But I know a lot of people like this game, and it's Castle Panic. And out there in Kickstarter, Castle Panic has a deluxe edition. And some people are chomping at the bit for that kind of thing. So there's a couple different pledge levels and different things they have there. They've got like an upgraded like wooden bits version. They also have an upgraded 3D castle plastic pieces. They've got monster minis. There's new artwork. There's new components of high quality wood. There's a new expansion even. There's a play mat that you could add on. So you can go like all kinds of ways with this. If you have Castle Panic, there is a wood edition that does not come with like the monster minis or the expansion components, but you get like the plastic castle pieces and then wooden monster tokens. And so that is $60. There's also another $60 pledge that is just the plastics only. So you get the plastic castle pieces, you get the monster minis. But I think the true version of this Kickstarter, $90, you get the Castle Panic game with the plastic pieces, the wooden pieces. It doesn't give you components for any of the expansions, but the basic game is there with all its extra little bits. So if you love Castle Panic and you're like, man, I wish this had cool plastic pieces, now's your chance. 6 days left on that Kickstarter. It's $60 if you just want the wooden upgrades, or if you want all the plastic upgrades, or $90 to get the game. If you've liked the game and you're like, I want a tricked out version of the game, $90 is where it's at. So that's Castle Panic Deluxe Edition.
Yeah, I think I would try this, especially since we've played After the Empire. I think the combat is kind of similar in this one, where you're trying to defend against the faceless beasts. Trolls and orcs or whatever are coming to kill you.
I don't think they're faceless. They got wooden bits with them on there now.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so I think it's kind of the same thing where you're just trying to defend your castle against the incoming hordes. So it might be all right. I don't know if I love the co-op piece, but it might be fine.
Yeah, I don't think I need to own it, but I would definitely give it a go because I know a lot of people really like this game a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
So going from a co-op game to a game that can be either solo or a 2-player duel. The last thing I want to talk about today on news is Chai Tea for Two. Now, Chai initially had a board game that played, I don't know, 4 or 5 players, I think.
Yeah, I think 4 for sure. I'm not sure if it did 5, but 4 for sure.
And I think we had a print and play version or something, or a prototype version.
Yeah, we had a prototype, yep.
And it was fine. I liked it because it is it's very casual, almost too casual for me. But now so I didn't initially look at this game, but I was like, well, let me check out the Kickstarter. It was suggested for me. The artwork, just like the regular Chai, is so, so pretty, and that always draws me in. But this 2-player version has some mechanics that I really dig, and it looks like it's a little even more in-depth, or has the opportunity to be more in-depth than the original Chai board game. So in Chai Tea for Two, you get your little tea plantation owner. They're adorable. I mean, they are so cute, these cards. So you have one side, which is a basic player side that gives you kind of a type of tea to go for bonus points, or the other side gives you a unique player power, which of course I love me some player powers. So then you are picking up tea, and you have your own board that's your plantation. And once you pick the tea, before tea can be shipped out, it's got to go through, the drying process and a couple other things. So you move your actual different types of tea up the board to kind of go thematically with how it's moving through the different steps in the plantation before it gets to shipping. And then you can also play these different cards on the sides of your plantation board to help spur on that movement, to also give you points for that movement, or for different tea types, which I think is really cool. And then you also get these cards that allow you to like put tea on them, and they're like ships in the harbor that go off and fulfill your contract fulfillment. And how you get tea and how you get contracts and get these cards is through dice worker placement, which I also freaking love. love. So you can do kind of an engine building part where you're saying, okay, I want to take this contract, but you have to play dice on it in order to take it from somebody, and certain types of dice go to get you certain types of contracts. Like, it seems like there's a lot more going on in this 2-player version. And it's also freaking, I mean, you can get deluxe, which is expensive, but it looks amazing. They're like add-ons of these gorgeous dice trays. There's just a lot. It looks like a lot of stuff going on at this 2-player game. So that's Chai Tea for Two. If you liked Chai, or if you didn't, thought it looked too simple, this one might be worth checking out. So there's 7 days left on that Kickstarter, and to get the basic level of the game, it is $39. So you get metal coins, tea tins, tea tokens, stretch goals for that $39.
Nice. This one seems way better than the original one. Like, I'm actually would be excited to play this one. The original one was kind of vanilla, but yeah, this one sounds a lot better.
Yeah, the original one was fine. It was nice, but I just felt like it was too easy in some ways. And I think this seems to have a little bit more complexity rolled in there, a lot of different types of mechanics going on, which I think is pretty dope.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's Chai Tea for Two. And that's all I have for news this week.
All right, so let's move in to some games that we played. We did get a chance to play some games. We have a standing weekly game night with our new hotness buddy and his wife. And we actually played not a lot of new hotness this time, but they were still quality games. And one of the first ones that we played is a Stefan Feld classic called Amerigo. So Amerigo is a game from Queen and Stefan Feld. It's in a big box. It has a cube tower. And what you're basically doing in this is you're dropping cubes into this tower. The colors that come out represent what actions you can do. And then the amount of the most color is the strength of that action, of the action that you pick you can take. And you're trying to move around this island. You're trying to build your trading houses on different islands so you can score points. You're trying to put polyomino tiles on the island to get resources. You're trying to get production tiles to multiply your resources. There's just a whole lot going on in true Stefan Feld fashion, but it's enjoyable. And it's not super difficult to teach. It's actually probably one of his easiest ones to teach because the actions really aren't that complicated. But it's a solid game, and I like it quite a bit. So this is your second time playing Amerigo, I think. Mm-hmm. What did you think about it this time? I
actually really liked it. I remember liking it the first time, and now that I played it once, and I was like, oh yeah, I do know this game. I still really liked it. I mean, I won handily.
I was close. You only beat me by 3 points.
That's true. You were close.
Thank you very much.
The distance between first and last was rather large.
Yeah, it was large, yeah.
But it seemed more natural. Again, I kind of had ideas about what choices I wanted to make. And there's still, even in that, there's still so much randomness. And sometimes what comes out is you're like, crap, I don't really want that action. But I got to make the best of it. So that kind of forces you to choose different actions than you might not have chosen before. I just really like this game, which I think is weird because I feel...
It's polyominoes.
It's polyominoes, number one, which always did give me some pause. The other issue is that I feel like there's a pretty clear path to victory.
Maybe. If you're not exploring the island, you're probably not going to get a bunch of points. That's probably true.
I mean, yeah, for me, I think it's buying the generic tiles.
Oh, yeah, because they give you more points. That's true.
Yes, if you don't seek out, because I honestly didn't explore that many places, but the ones I did, or maybe I just closed out a bunch of small islands and I explored them by myself, and I used all generic tiles. I just got a bunch of points that way. And that set me up, I think, for the end. Although I don't feel like you played quite that same way, so maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I was able to get 2 of the neutral tiles, so I was using a lot of neutral tiles as well. So yeah. I think that it could be the main strategy, but I'm not 100% sure that that's the only way you can win. I don't know. That's just the way I happened to play this time, and you kind of did too. But I'm not 100% sure if that's the fact or not.
I feel like that's the way I played last time too, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you what I did last time. I probably lost again. So I don't know.
It seemed like I played that way last time and I won, but I'm not sure because we played with Brandon and you never know.
That's true. That is true.
But yeah, I liked it. I really like this one. I think it's good. I'd like to put it in a regular rotation. And it appears that I like Felds because
he's amazing.
I can actually name 3 Felds right now, which is surprising.
Do it.
Amerigo, Merlin, Bonfire.
Nice. Yeah. Good job.
I don't know anymore. I don't know any others right now beyond that, but I feel proud that I know those 3 are Feld. Actually, I probably wouldn't know this is a Feld if you hadn't said it at the top of the segment.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't really feel like a Feld to me that much, but it is a good game, though, nonetheless.
Yeah, I just know that Merlin's my favorite Feld because that's been drilled into my head. And then the fact that we just have wrestled through Bonfire a couple times, and it reminds me a little bit of Merlin.
Mm-hmm. It feels like a Feld.
Did he do Aquasphere?
He does do Aquasphere.
Because I remember you saying that some of Bonfire reminds you of Aquasphere. Look at me go. I'm going to figure out some publishers and designers after all.
Good job. Yeah, I'm impressed.
Yeah, I liked it.
All right, so the next game we played, also not a new hotness game, and it is a game about Batman. And it is called the Batman Gotham City strategy game. It's a really dumb title. Like
Gotham City. Yeah, it's like the least thematic, thought out period. It's awful.
Right, because you're playing in this game, you're playing as one of the villains. There's Killer Croc, Penguin, Joker, and Two-Face. Why there's no Catwoman
or Poison Ivy.
Poison Ivy, I have no idea.
Ridiculous. Harley Quinn, come on.
Yeah, but what you're basically doing in this is you are trying to control different blocks of Gotham City or different territories. I'm not sure what they actually call them. Maybe it's blocks. You're doing that by putting out threat tokens, which is basically like, your influence in the area. You're also trying to get some of your minions out there or henchmen, I think. And then you also can put your main character out on the board. And if your main character is out in the block, you automatically control the area because, no one wants to fight with one of the bad guys. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to complete these objective cards. You're going to play a card on your turn. You're trying to score points so you can up your level of your character. You need to get so much money. You need to get intel. You need to control a certain amount of the blocks. You're trying to be the first person to level up to level 10. But while you're doing that, people are going to be moving Batman around. You could even move Batman around. And he's going to come into the blocks and start slapping the villains around and making you lose threat, making your minions run away, all that type of thing. So it feels similar to like The Godfather in some aspects with the area control, but the way the card play works is actually kind of interesting. I like that because you're going to play a card, and on the top of the card, it's going to give the controller of a certain area the benefit of that area. Could be intel, could be money, one of those things. And then the bottom part of the card, you can decide to use that for yourself, or you can discard it to put out more threat or take 2 of the resources. So it's multi-use cards. You have some decisions when you're playing the card. You're not just blindly playing the card and whatever happens, which I kind of enjoy. And this is a Paolo Mori game, which I feel like he's all over the place with Dogs of War, Libertalia, Ethnos. He's kind of everywhere. And yeah, so I did enjoy this. It was mean-ish for once area control. And it may have gone on a little bit longer than I would have hoped for, but it was a fun game. So what did you think of Batman Gotham City strategy game?
Well, I mean, I like Batman. But first, I was pissed off by the fact they didn't have any female villains, and the villains they picked, like, okay, Penguin, Joker, even Two-Face, I get it. Pretty solid standard villain fare. Killer Croc, come on.
Yeah, that was like a low, that was a weird choice.
I felt like that was a slap in my feminist face. Catwoman is I think she's a better villain than most of the other ones anyway.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Part of it is because she is a woman and Batman is so hung up on her that he acts like a moron. But that's a whole nother story.
He's not quite thinking with his head all the time there.
Nope, not at all. Batsuit not helping things to work out. So Catwoman would have been great. Even Harley Quinn, because you have the Joker, or Poison Ivy, for crying out loud. But Killer Croc. So once I got over that, because I played Two-Face, because I'm kind of a fan of Two-Face. It does remind me of Godfather, which I like, but I like Godfather better. I don't like area control. I don't know if I've mentioned that before. Once or twice, but I do not like area control games. I just am so bad at them. But like in Godfather, there is set collection and other things going on. In this one, there are some sort of different ways to go about that, making that set collection happen, which I think is cool because as you pick your villain, as you level up, you get these different special powers that only your villain has, which I think is a cool thing to get that asymmetric player powers. I love that stuff. However, everyone is kind of going after the same thing. So I feel like that's kind of not the best. Also, I feel like the conflict is unnecessarily difficult. And I'm a really bad dice roller. So I feel like I wish I could like help pump up my character so that I had this awesome card and I didn't want to rock the boat because I could have gone into like a different segment of the city and just had to duke it out with somebody. And I got like a +5 to my roll.
Ooh, that's nasty.
It was nasty. And I was holding on to it for a long time because I was like, oh, I'm going to make somebody cry. But then I know you don't like conflict. I didn't want to make people mad, so I didn't do it. But I like that you do, there are multi-uses on the cards. So there are some interesting things going on here. And I think I would put it again because I think it's one of those things that people who like rolled resolve combat, people who like area control, who like more of the war type games, battle type games would get into this game in a theme that I actually enjoy. If I would like to freaking make my own Catwoman cards and just go at it, but I definitely liked it. It's not going to be one of my favorites, but I can see it as being a nice bridging game for people of different game tastes and one that I'd be willing to play, much like Godfather and Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, I think I like this theme better than the Godfather theme, just because I like Batman a lot better than Godfather.
I don't know.
But I do like the gameplay of Godfather a lot better. I just feel like it's quicker. It's a little more streamlined. And even the meanness, I feel like the meanness doesn't hurt you as bad.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's mean, but you're going to just reset next round and start over, so it's not a big deal. So, yeah, that's my thought on comparing the two.
Yeah, I agree. I actually, I've never seen the movie The Godfather, but I like Mafia as a theme. Like I mentioned, Yakuza, you could easily change Godfather to a Yakuza theme, and it would be awesome. And so... yeah, that's hard with this one because it is. I would say Godfather is more streamlined, but I think in some ways it's a little more gamery because of some of the different things that you're working on and doing and the way the cards function. So, I mean, it's not bad.
Yeah. I mean, if you like Godfather, chances are you'd probably like this one. If you like Area Control, you're probably going to like this one as well because it's good.
Yeah.
All right, and then the last game we played, just me and you played. And this is a Dr. Finn game that's going to be hitting Kickstarter, I think, next month. And it is called The Feds.
Is this a 2-player only?
No, you can play 4.
Okay.
So what you're going to do in this is you are taking on the role of like a federal agency of some kind. They have different pictures. They don't really have names, but all the colors are different characters. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to go to these locations and do busts so you can arrest the criminals and confiscate their drugs or their contraband, whatever they happen to be selling at the time. They're called crates in the game, so it could be anything. So the way you're doing that is on your turn, you're going to play a card. You're going to play it you're going to play it face down onto this like surveillance area on the board, which is basically, the next card that's going to move into the field. And then as cards get bumped out of the surveillance, they're going to go face up or maybe stay face down in the field. And it's going to turn into like this area control battle for each location. So each card has a value of 1 to 5. We all have 2. In a 2-player game, you have 2 of each of the numbers. And basically, by the time a certain number of cards flip in the location, it's going to cause a bust. And whoever has the most value of cards in that location will get first pick of taking some of the criminals or the crates. And you're just trying to collect sets of criminals and crates. So the more of the different colors of criminals, I think there are 5, you're going to score more points. And if you can get a set of all 3 colored crates, you're going to get 5 points. So it's effectively an area control set collection game with some pretty cool components. And then after you play a card, you're going to move this little cop car around and you're going to be able to level up your player board so you can have some special abilities, or you can do a sting at a location, which will just give you a chance to get some extra crates. So that's effectively the game. It's really easy to play. It's simple. It has actually pretty nice production for what it is. I think we had a prototype, so there was like a misprint on one of the player boards, which I'm sure will get worked out, but It's a solid game. I enjoyed it. I like a lot of Dr. Finn's games, and this one might actually be one that I like a little more than some of the others because I feel like there's a little more game there. So what did you think about the Feds?
Yeah, I liked it. I'd be interested to play this at more than 2, just to see how that affects how you play it. Because I think there is some cool aspects about when you can't raid, to move up different types of the player powers you have. And you all have the same ones, but if they're ready to fire or not when you want to use them is what matters. And being able to, it is area control, actually, which I don't love, but getting the highest numbers in certain places, but having the ability to keep some of your cards face down. So you have agents that are undercover, which I think thematically is cool. And then also adds to like, ooh, should I send more agents here because I don't know what power they have? Or at the last minute before I think a card's going to fire off, or I want to force like a location to fire off, to have like a raid there. And then I'm going to move different characters around, or should I go and just like perform a sting on a location so that I'm able to get what I want from there if I think that it's not going to quite go my way. I think that's really cool. I love the colors and the art and the production quality, like the little tokens of little spies that you're collecting in like that light set collection part. The tactileness of the cubes, the fact that the player boards are in set, so as you move your cubes across to like level up your different types of powers and stuff, they stay where they're supposed to be. I even like the color palette itself, like the colors they chose, I thought were cool. It's fairly simple, but I still think, like a really compelling, fun little game. And I do like the theme on that too. I think it's cool.
Yeah, I like everything about this game. I think the art is probably some of the best art that he's had in a game. That I've played of his. I just really like it. It looks really nice. It's bright colors, and yeah, it's quite good. So those are the games that we played. Let's move on from that and go into this week's feature.
So like I mentioned up at the top of the episode, summer is unofficially starting, which means you might be going on vacation. And even for us, we are getting ready to do like a little Memorial Day weekend kind of light gaming con with some friends of ours close to here. And so I thought, when I'm making my list, because as disorganized of a person as I am, I like to make lists anytime I have to pack. It just helps me sort all the jumble of stuff in my brain from the other jumbles of stuff in my brain and put it into categories. So I made a list of the games I want to take. And so I've been thinking about suitcase savvy games is how I've dubbed it. Games that I'm not just talking are small in size, but yes, in some ways they're contained in a fairly small box. I was looking at our collection, and I'm not going to haul a bunch of Jason's Shop Goodwill finds just because they're in those big, huge old Milton Bradley long boxes that are falling apart and that smell musty. And so that's not really the aesthetic I'm looking for. So
that smell is not must. It's fun. It smells like fun.
Aged fun, a vintage wine of fun smell. Indeed. But I need something more contained because it's usually like a big open box and there's stuff just shifting around all over the place. And so something that kind of is contained, it has minimal or non-fussy kind of components and even setup. Games that maybe get more types of people involved, because when you're going on vacation, you never know if you're going to have kids that come with you. You could have, older parents, grandparents, people who've never played games that are like, oh yeah, we're vacation. Let's play a game, drink a bottle of wine, whatever. I don't mean like per individual. But different people that don't normally play games. And I try to think of ones also that as far as when you put the game out, its footprint, something that could fit on like a picnic table, regular size. We're not bringing out all the deluxe edition kind of stuff because, we're going to lose the components. We're going to not have a table big enough. So that's what I mean by suitcase savvy type games. And we also want to look for ones that, you get tired of playing card games after a while. So we have a mix of different types of games. So Jason, why don't you start us off?
All right, so the first one that I picked is a really good card game that I enjoy quite a bit, and I think it can play up to 6 people, I believe, which is a pretty decent size group of people for a game that is actually fun. And what this game is called, it's called For Sale. Most people know what For Sale is. It's a little auction-y game where you're trying to acquire these properties with have different numbers on them, so the higher the number, the better the property. And then you're trying to sell those properties back in the second phase of the game to get as much money as you can. And you're trying to end the game with the most money. It's really easy to teach. It's easy to play. It's just cards and some coins. You can fit it in I have it in a little like plastic like CCG card holder thing where everything's just thrown in there. So it's easy to haul around. You can put it in your suitcase, no problem. And most of all, you can play 6 people, and it's really fun. So the first one I wanted to put on here is For Sale.
Oh, I didn't realize that's where you put For Sale. That's why I didn't make it on my checklist.
Oh yeah, it's like in the little red like basket that we have, and then it's not in its box anymore. It's just in a plastic case.
Oh, well, now I know. So my first pick is also, and that's a good game, by the way. I guess I didn't comment on it. I like that game a lot. It's got a little bit of push your luck element. You really have either you take a card or you put a token on it. So teaching it to people is easy. And it's one of those that you can just maybe if you're waiting somewhere for dinner or something, that's a nice one to pull out. It can fit in a purse, fit in a pocket. If you're like Jason and you wear cargo shorts all the time, which apparently are supposed to be out of style, or probably kids would call chuggy, but hey, you can carry games in there.
Yeah, and I think you were describing No Thanks when you're talking about take a card and put a chip on it.
Oh, shoot. What game did you pick?
For Sale, the auction game where you're buying property. I was like, wait a minute, you don't put a chip on these, do you?
No wonder I was like, I don't remember seeing that game in that deck box. Oh, that makes so much more sense. This shows how much I listen to you when you talk on the podcast.
Apparently.
I was actually looking at my next game. I'm like, oh, did I get that right? So yeah, For Sale also, you really can't do that much on your turn. You are going to bid on it or not. And then later on, it's like, okay, can I get rid of this at the right time? What is other people going to play? So there's some outthinking there. Again, easy to get people into it because most people understand kind of real estate, or if you don't understand real estate, you look at the card and you can see if it looks like a crappy building or a nice building.
Is it a cardboard box or is it a nice house? Yeah, there you go.
Or is it a space station? That's pretty clear on that game. So it's really easy to just be like, oh yeah, I want this one. I don't want this one. Can I get this one for cheap? How much do I have left to bid? That idea of bidding and it also in some ways pushing your luck on what can I get for as little as possible and what am I going to let go? Definitely good. So maybe on honorable mentions, I need to put No Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, that does fit the criteria. It's just not what I picked. Yes,
I could put both of them on my packing list now that we've discussed them because I'm an idiot. So my next game is also mostly just cards. I'm trying to think of who.
It's AEG.
I know it's AEG. Stop. But it reminds me of a Seiji Kanai game, but it's not. It's Isaac Shalev.
Yeah.
But the game is Ravenous River, and it is in one of those AEG small box games I love. I got this for $5, and it is super worth it. So in this game you get the role of an animal, and you're trying to cross the river. So there's 2 boats used to cross the river, and the thing is, it's like a hidden role, so no one knows what animal you are, and everyone can move all the animals. And everyone's got 2 action cards that allow you to kind of do something different, where you can swap boats or empty out one or move it to the riverbank, finishing it up, getting rid of an animal. They kind of they allow you to do something special. Otherwise, you're just moving animals around. That's putting an animal out on a boat, putting it on a bank. That's it. So it's really quick. But you're also like, okay, do I move my animal? Then everyone thinks it's my animal. Do I move other animals? Because there's this like circle of life that happens. It's almost like rock, paper, scissors, only with a lot more animals. So everyone's got their predator or prey in this kind of cycle. So you don't want to put, obviously, you don't want to put yourself with your own predator in a boat because you won't survive to cross the river. Once you get to the riverbank and everybody gets off the boat, so you don't want to be there with your predator. And it actually is better if you're there with your prey, because then not only do you get points for getting there, you get points for eating your prey. So there's lots of like thinking to this. But you honestly can only do like 3 things on your turn. Place an animal from the deck, move an animal somewhere, or play one of your action cards. That's it. And it plays up to 7, so you can get a decent amount of people in on it. It's just a simple set of little cards and like point counters. Like, that's it. And so there's thinkiness to it. It doesn't take up a lot of room. It's in a small box. People are fairly familiar with like that old riddle, like, okay, you've got a duck and a fox and a bag of grain, and you've got to get them across the river, but the person, moving the boat can only take 2 at a time. That's kind of the fable, the riddle that this is based on. And a lot of people are familiar with that, so it's pretty easy. You can only do 1 of 3 things. And you just want to play it again and again and again. It's so fun. I love that. So Ravenous River is my first choice.
Yeah, this is a good game. We played this a lot when we first got it, and it's silly fun. Just trying to outthink your opponents and make sure that you don't get in the boat that something's going to eat you.
Yep.
All right, so the next one I have, I did a card game. I didn't do this on purpose, but I did a card game. The next one I picked is a roll and write, and it is On Tour. There's a couple of them I thought about picking here, but I think On Tour might be the thinkier of all of them, so I wanted to go with that one. And On Tour, it's a simple game. You're flipping some cards. It's going to tell you which city and which section of America you're trying to mark off on your board. Then you're going to roll some dice, and that's going to tell you what number you can write in either one of those regions or one of those cities. And you're trying to plan this tour for your type of music. So I usually play as rock. So I'm trying to get my musicians to go across the country from low number to high number, or same number to same number, as many cities as I can, getting star cities or extra points to just score the most points. It seems simple, but man, once you start writing down those numbers and you realize that you box yourself into a corner and you have to change your plans around, it starts getting a little thinky. So this is probably one of my favorite roll and writes. I like the theme a lot, and it's just fun. So my second one, On Tour.
Yeah, this one's fun, and I've played this with all kinds of people, and they really like it. It's so simple. Like, you roll the dice, you lay out the cards to see where the numbers go, you write down 2 numbers. But, man, how you get those numbers, trying to connect, hoping that the right numbers come out on a roll, hoping that you get some free wild spaces. It's such a good time. The production quality is really great on this, and I love the artwork. Like, there's just a lot of great things about this game. I really like it. My second choice is Bristol 1350. And really, it could be any one of the Dark Cities games by Facade Games. Hey, look at that. Did you see that?
Good job. Yeah, I like that.
So Facade is actually out of Columbus. So we're like repping local people here. But the great thing about this set of games, including Bristol 1350, is that they look like books, like old, weathered, rugged books. And I love that. And I picked Bristol 1350 because it's the newest one of this set, and it has some of the coolest components, I think, ever. So the cool thing, you open up this little book. Inside is a rolled up player mat. So that's your board. So it's rolled up nice. It's cute. Fits out there, lays out there, looks good. Stays down on a table. Then everyone's got their little apple carts. You got these little apple carts out there. There's 3 of them. And then you got your little people. The little pawns, not the greatest, but
no, they're super tiny.
But they do fit in the cool carts. The carts are metal, I believe.
Yeah. They are metal, yep.
So then you're playing cards to try and keep yourself from getting the plague and try to get the apple cart that you're in out of Bristol before you get the plague, or that someone in your cart gets the plague and gives it to you. It's a pretty simple game. They play, I can't remember how many players this plays up to. I know
I think they can usually go to 10.
some of the other ones play really big numbers. And I didn't know if Bristol 1350 is the same. Up to 9. So 9 players, that gets a lot of people in there. Again, also really simple turns. You can't do a whole ton. You're just trying to get out of there. So it's like sort of almost cooperative, but you're like, man, do you have the plague? Do you not? And so with a lot of people, this gets crazy, but it's really compact. The game is fun. If you don't care about apple carts getting out of Bristol, not getting the plague, Tortuga 1667 is really good, where again, you're not sure which flag or country the people that you're playing with are supporting, but you want to get the treasure off of the island. You want to be the captain of the boat. You can perform mutinies. You can maroon people, which is really cool. Salem 1697 is another good one where it's like, ooh, who's a witch? Who's not a witch? Who are we going to burn at the stake? I don't know if that's literally in there, but you are trying to, like, it's a witch trial, which I think is great. The one I like the least is Deadwood 18. Man, I can't remember the date on that one. I remembered the other ones, and I was so proud of myself. Oh, Deadwood 1876. Oh, Salem 1692. Maybe I said 1697.
Deadwood is definitely the weakest of all 4 of them, for sure.
I like me a good Western theme, but that one's a little more convoluted than the other ones. But
yeah, I agree. They
just pack really well. The player mat is rolled up inside there. It's cards and little components. You can play a lot of people. Gameplay is pretty simple. It's just, those are just a good series of games. So Bristol 1350 is my second choice.
Yeah, I mean, I like all of these. I would play Deadwood too if someone wanted to, but yeah, Bristol and Tortuga are probably my 2 favorites of the set. They're really good. All right, and the last game I want to talk about is, we'll say worker placement game. So it's a little bit more of a board game. So I had a card, I had a roll and write. Now we're going to move into board game territory. And this game is called Parks. And the reason I picked this game is because we've used it in this setting. We've taken it to camp. We've played it on little tables. It can fit just fine, and it works. And it also has the cool little component trays, the game trays, that all the components sit in, so you don't have to worry about them getting lost when you're dumping them out on the table. So there's a lot of components, but they're all contained pretty nicely in the box. This game is awesome. You can call it worker placement, but it's effectively you're moving your hiker to different sections of the trail, trying to collect different resources so you can go visit parks using those resources, which basically means you're fulfilling the contract by spending the goods to score some points. It has amazing art, amazing production. The theme is pretty solid. The expansion adds a little bit to the game, not enough to like make it go from if you don't like it to liking it, but it just gives you a little more stuff to go with. So Parks, great game, fits this criteria perfectly. And if you're going on a camping trip, playing a game about visiting parks while you're camping seems pretty cool to me. So third one for me, Parks.
Yeah, and this one by Keymaster, check that out.
Yep.
Is another one of their really well done. The production quality is great. The art is beautiful. And that's something that I think really pulls people in, pulls non-gamers in. We've had a lot of success with people really latching onto this game because of the way it looks. And set collection is a pretty easy concept to teach people. And so they're seeing those like, oh, okay, if I want this park, I need to collect these resources. And the resources are cool and pretty. We have the play mat for this, which is nice. It does not fit in the box like Bristol, but it's also not large. So again, makes it really easy to set this up and play it. And people really are drawn to it, even if they're not gamers. And so this checks a ton of boxes for me, for sure. My last one is also a game that has been kind of a tried and true as far as taking it places and getting people to join in. And that is the old standby Century Spice Road. We have the player mat for this also, which does not fit in there, but it's nice to have. We do have that, don't we? Or no?
I don't think we do. Chris has it, but we do not.
Dang it. I thought we did. Dreaming.
Like, I'm going to pay for that. Come on.
Well, that's why I thought I was real surprised, but I thought maybe it was like a special at a convention, and sometimes you do crazy things.
Sometimes, but not in this case.
Not in this case. But standard in the production of Century Spice Road are these really lovely large size, like tarot size cards, which are easy for people to hold, manipulate. They like that. It comes with the little bowls that hold the cubes that you use for your resources. And it comes with metal freaking coins, which are awesome. And so all of those production things coming right out of the box. And not a ton of things to keep track of also. It holds down well. It doesn't take a huge footprint up on the table. So yeah, we played this on small card tables. We played it on picnic tables. You've got your little bits contained in the bowls or on top of the cards so they're not falling down on the ground. And it's a game that people really like. The colors are pretty. They see it. They gravitate towards it. It's simple, like cube exchange and then getting a contract. And it just is one that people seem to catch on to really well early on. We played this with a ton of non-gamers, like just out of the woodwork. They're like, oh, what you playing? Yeah, I'll try it. And one of my friends, she's even then, like, this kind of started us to talk more again. I'd known her for years, but we became better friends because she sent me a message and said, hey, I bought that game for my family for Christmas that we played at camp that you had. It was so fun. They really like it. And now we try and play more games just because Century Spice Road kind of started it all, and it hits a lot of those things, the containers, the kind of non-fussy setup components. Lots of people seem to jump on it. It has like a small footprint. It's just genuinely a good game. So my last choice is Century Spice Road.
Yeah, this is a great game. We've played this an awful lot. And yeah, the bowls holding the cubes, that makes it pretty nice because you don't have to worry about dumping them and losing them because they're in the bowl, which is pretty cool.
So of course, we've got a bunch of honorable mentions.
Yeah, we probably have more honorable mentions than we have regular games, but
we do.
That's how we roll. Yeah.
Okay, so our first set of honorable mentions are some that I wanted to put, but that I have put before, but I couldn't, let it go without saying them. The first honorable mention is My Star. I love that game. Is that Seiji Kanai? Because it's another small...
yeah, I know it's AEG. That's all I know.
Box one I picked up from AEG for about $5 or something. And I talk about this all the time. It is Seiji Kanai. Yeah, look at me go. I talk about this one all the time because I feel like nobody knows about it. I don't play it as much as I'd like because it's 3 players. And for some reason, people don't love it like I do. But they just don't know. And it's just a small little box. It's cheap. There's some cheap ones out on Geek Market, man. Right now, it's Japanese themed. You've got geishas and multi-use cards. Again, and even I think there's a little scoring pad inside the box. It's just so good. It's so good. I love it. Another one that we personally have played, 2-player game, Holmes, Sherlock, and Mycroft. We bought this at our first Origins. And it is barely has anything to do with Sherlock and Mycroft. But just a set of cards, and basic set collection. So you're going around spending magnifying glasses to pick up cards to try and get the most points. And then you're using that by doing some worker placement, going to these different characters from the Sherlock Holmes universe, and either getting more cards or gaining more glass, like spy glasses or magnifying glasses to use. But it's just a small game. It's quick to set up, pretty easy. It's a good one. We played that on a ton. Also, Just One. Really simple. You've got the little boards and the dry erase markers that are like compact in there, and you got the deck of cards. I mean, like you really can't get much more basic than that. It's an easy one to pull in people who've never played before. Even my grandma, who makes a big deal about how she's too stupid to play games, on and on and on. She liked this one, had such a good time with it. It's a basic, fun word game that you couldn't get it at any, big box store. So Just One, another good choice.
Yeah, my only issue with that one is it should play more players. That could play like 20 people. I don't understand why it doesn't.
Yeah, I agree. Just get two versions of it and put them together.
Yeah, that's true. The next one that could have made the list, and I actually almost put it on my list, is Ars Alchimia. This is a really tiny box worker placement game. So you have these different size pawns or different pawns, and you're going to locations to get resources, to convert resources into like spells to score some points. But the cool one about this one is if you want to go to a place that somebody's already been, you got to put more workers out than them. So nothing's ever really blocked off. You just have to use your workers to get what you want. Really fun game. It might be a little bit complicated to get up on a table because stuff could fall off or fall through the slats or whatever, but it's a good game nonetheless, and it does fit in a suitcase. The next one would be a game from AEG called Point Salad. Nothing but cards. You're trying to collect different types of vegetables to score based on these scoring cards that you're also drafting. Solid game. Anybody can play it. It's literally like one of the easiest games I've probably ever played, but it's fun, so it works. Also, there's a party game called Hoax, which plays, I'm not sure how many people it plays up to, maybe 6 or so, but it's a hidden role game where you're trying to bluff, make people think you are a character so you can use their special ability. They can call you out, and if they're right, you lose. If they're wrong, you win. So it's a pretty quick game. It's silly, kind of plays like Coup, but I like this one a whole lot better, so yeah.
Yeah, that's 6 players on that one. It's nice. It's a quick one if people like social deduction, but there's still some like additional little like components you can use with it, which I think is really fun. I would be remiss if I didn't mention Splendor. That's one of the first games that we had in our collection and played the snot out of. Really, I haven't played it for a long time, but again, you've got those big poker chip like gems, and then the tiles that you're using. It's easy to pick up on. This is a great kind of bridge game, intro game for people, and it packs up small. The components are really easy. Actually, it could be in a smaller box than it is, to be honest.
Yes, it could. It could.
So you could just put it in a Ziploc baggie for all that matters and take it with you easy.
It's true.
Another really small box game, a roll and write or flip and write.
Yeah, same thing. It's a flip and write, but same thing.
Silver and gold. Little cards. You've got your dry erase markers. You are just covering up shapes on your different islands to score points. And the thing I like about silver and gold is that then you can score bonus points by getting certain types of islands, and you've got your coins and your palm trees that also give you points. So there's a little bit more going on in there that I really think is good. Another Keymaster game that I love with gorgeous artwork, despite their kind of snafu, in my opinion, of the new version, is Caper. And it's a little box, but there's a lot of stuff going on in there. The artwork is amazing. Really, the setup is not very big. You're holding onto your hand of cards and you're playing them down on the different locations in front of you to kind of take control of the different heists and group different things to score points. It's a fun and beautiful game from Keymaster.
Yeah, Keymaster knows what they're doing. And I almost put silver and gold on my list instead of On Tour, but I think I like On Tour maybe a little bit better.
Because of the theme, I'm sure.
Yeah, because of the theme, yep. So we also have Bang, which is a card game, a Western card game where players are taking on the role of renegades, outlaws, sheriff, and deputy. Only people who know who anybody is. The sheriff is known to everybody, and then you're trying to figure out who's on your team and who's trying to kill you. Sheriff trying to be the last one alive, and the outlaws are trying to kill the sheriff. Yeah, it's a cool card game. Kind of take that, but it's solid.
I'd say Bang, the dice game even also would fit in there as well.
Yeah, that's true. It's simpler probably to learn and play than Bang, but it gives you the same kind of feeling. Bohnanza, which we've also taken to our camp, and it always goes over well. You're planting beans, trying to grow fields of types of beans to score a bunch of points. There's some trading and just yelling at each other that always happens, and it's a good time. Ghost Blitz is also been taken to our camp, and it goes over well. Speed game where you're trying to recognize what's missing from the card or the exact item that's on the card that's flipped. You're trying to end the game with the most cards in front of you, and if you guess wrong, you have to give back some cards. Really cool game, really easy to play, but, well, easy to learn. It's actually hard to play because looking at those cards and beating out people is a little tough. So, yeah, but good games.
Yeah, Ghost Blitz has like these really like good chunky tactile components that aren't going to blow away. And Bohnanza, like it just is cards. So you could stick that in a Ziploc baggie and go. Like it's real quick, easy. The rules aren't enough that you need to have them on hand all the time because there's not a lot of specialty set up for it. Another card game that I really like, if you're tired of playing just like regular euchre or whatever with a standard deck, Hagakure. Beautiful artwork, so cute. Because I'm a sucker for an Asian themed game. But if people know how to play euchre, it's a really easy teach for them. And it's then a little more complex in the fact that, there is a kind of trump suit, which are the samurais, but you don't always have to follow suit in some ways. And there's like a little dummy hand, and you each have like these special powers, Nobori tokens that you can use when you want to, if you want to. And it's like a real quick round, again, very small kind of, like component wise, but still a really super fun game. Yeah. It's by nobody I know.
That game shouldn't be as good as it is. It's really good.
But it's so good. Again, I already talked about No Thanks because apparently I don't listen to Jason and know the difference between No Thanks and For Sale. I don't know why they seem so similar to me. I don't know.
I don't either. They're not alike at all.
No, but in my head, they're very close. Like I said before, do I take this number of points or do I put a chip on it and say no thanks? And it's push your luck. It's golf scoring, trying to get the lowest points and seeing who gets stuck with what and how much you can get away with. And then another social deduction game that we just recently acquired. The game is called Growl. Good for big groups of people. If a lot of people are familiar with Werewolf, or I used to play the same version called Mafia, so maybe that's why I like mobster games. Growl is where you're trying not to be a werewolf, or if you are a werewolf, you're trying to make everyone else a werewolf. And you're passing around bites and wounds and charms and salves. I'm also interested to play some of the expansions that we have on that. But it's kind of a social deduction with a little bit of an extra twist there. But again, small little box, easy to kind of pack up and put out on a small table.
Yep, I actually like. The more I play that one, the more I really like it. It's good.
So those are our suitcase savvy games. Contain games, non-fussy components, able to draw in all types of people, fit on a little table. And I know that there are plenty we've missed. I feel like we have a ton of these games because we're always carding games somewhere. And I guess that's what you do when you are like the board games dealer of your circle of friends. But I'm sure there's some we missed, and I'm always looking to acquire more of these type of games. So what are your favorite suitcase savvy games? Tell us on Facebook, #The Riveted. That group is awesome and gets even more awesome as the days go on. Instagram, the Twitters, and of course the YouTubes. Jason is always posting videos. We're trying to do better about getting me in some of those videos. Maybe now that summer's here, I will do better. I can't promise anything, people. But if you like those reviews, if you want to see something reviewed, if you want me to review something, definitely comment, like, subscribe, click on the little bell so it reminds you of when those things go up. Because we just love interacting with you guys, and we love hearing about games, talking about games, playing games.
Yeah, and in case you don't get the notification or you don't follow the Board Game Rundown, you got to check out this week's episode because one of us may be on there, and it's going to be me because they couldn't afford Katie.
That's right.
So I joined them via Zoom or Skype. I think it was Skype. And we talk about things that kind of turn us off in games. So instant, put the game back on the shelf and never talk of it again type of things. So go check that out on their YouTube channel, The Board Game Rundown Solid. They have a cool show. So go give that some love.
Yeah, they're still working out my rider. Like, I insist on having them send me a box of orange slices, and they're trying to avoid it. They just don't get to Speedway. I'm going to hold out. I'm a celebrity.
Somebody will pay the fee eventually.
Eventually. They're all okay. And honestly, if they would just kick Dan off the show, I would do it for free.
It's true. I think that was actually discussed on our episode. So yeah, it was talked about.
Yeah. So we love being part of a community that uplifts each other, that stays focused on the games, and the kind
After we just said kick Dan off the show.
I know. After I just said, and I hate this guy. No, I don't. I just don't want to hear him talk. Otherwise, it's fine. But we love board games, and I think that there's something that transcends any kind of political division, any kind of those icky, hard, heavy stuff that we have to deal with in the world. Board games is a way to unite people, and we like to focus on the games themselves and not get caught up in the other crap.
Yeah, we try. We do try.
We do try.
Sometimes we get a little off kilter, and Katie gets on her soapbox.
It's me. I know.
We still try.
I own it. I got some in this episode too. So
no, it's fine.
What can I say? It's all right. I'm annoying. That's how that's all the comments say.
Not all, just one.
No, it's just the one I always come back to. I guess some people are saying nice things about me.
Most people are nice. Most of our listeners are nice.
There's
occasionally some troll that shows up that doesn't understand it. And then, they start making comments. But it's fine. Who cares?
I really feel like I need an arch nemesis in my life. So I welcome it. I welcome the negative comments. I like to dwell on them and bring them up over and over again. It's kind of what I do.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we've done enough damage for today.
Yeah, I agree. Let's wrap this up, get some lunch.
Sounds good. I've been Katie.
And I'm Jason.
Keep gaming, everybody.
Keep gaming.
I really wish you would cut out that part where I was a moron and talked about no thanks instead of for sale, but I know you won't.